Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is Tier 1 in partnership with gridfinder.com and Venturi Studios. We're here for round number 11 at the Chinese Grand Prix here at the Shanghai International Circuit. My name is JPH99 and joining me in the commentary box as per usual is Bruce Lee Harding. Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening, JPH. Tier 1, China. It could be interesting races tonight, hopefully. A little bit down on numbers to what we have been, but every cloud has a silver lining, and if you can finish this race, then you're going to get a point.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big thing really for drivers, just making sure to get some more points on the board and help themselves in their own little battles that they have. Obviously, China is not one of the most liked circuits on the planet, but it still provides some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have seen some good racing so far this week. It's a strange circuit. I think it's one of those Marmite circuits. You either like it or you hate it, and I think DRS can be quite important around here to stay in that DRS train, especially the length of that final straight as well. So we'll be interested to see how everyone gets on, and also strategy can be circuit as well. You tend to find the undercut can be quite large around this circuit as well. So it's not a straightforward race by any means, and hopefully it can be the drivers can provide us with some nice close racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Got obviously Joshua Bashford, the first one out and about. He's just entering the last few corners. Up to the final corner we go then for Joshua. Looking for a lap with him. So up to the start-finish line. Of course, and then we're going to come up to this long tightening right-hander of turns 1, tightens into 2, and then you tighten again, but go towards the left-hand side for 3, which opens through 4. Quite a critical part of the circuit to get right. You go a bit wide, you can use a lot of time. Turn 5, the flick right, and down towards 6. This hairpin, you're going to go down in second, short shift normally to third to make sure the car doesn't spin out. Turn 7, should be a flat left-hander, and then right is just down a couple of gears and just keep it nice and tight. You want to be on the right hand side for turns 9, and then that opens out into 10. Gotta be careful, don't clip the curbs, it will make the back end move a lot more than you want. Then down towards turn 11, this 90-degree left-hander, and then turn straight into turn 12, which opens into 13. You've gone past the detection zone for the first DRS zone. It opens out onto this massive back straight where DRS is, and you should see quite a few overtakes when the DRS becomes active down into the turn 14 hairpin. You hit the brakes about 100 in qualifying, all the way down to second. Again, short shift to third to lay the traction through 15, and then the final corner 16. Hit the brakes about 50 just after, down a gear, get it turned in, and bring the throttle in as early as you can. Across the line, 131.6 to start us off.
Yeah, good start there for Joshua. Rockley is your next man across the line. He's very sort of setting very comparable times to Joshua, maybe just ever so slightly down at sector 2, but not on go here now. And as he crosses the line, just ever so slightly down.
Yeah, 31.7. I think that's Martin coming across the line. He does a 31.7, so he's not a million miles off this pace. Ghost now puts in a 31.0 to go fastest so far. Looking at Merckx, where's Merckx going to place here? You'd like to back him for a good grid position. Although it's a 31.5. He's half a second off Ghost, but you get the feeling that he's got a little bit more time to give in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, without seeing the whole lap, we don't know whether he's had a couple of errors somewhere along that lap. But yeah, I'm sure Merckx will bounce back from that first lap and close that gap to Ghost as well. So interesting to see. Ashtube's doing his traditional run on medium tyres. at the moment. So yeah, obviously not going to be setting the world of light on those, but yeah, maybe just a bit of extra practice here, or saving those softs for that extra set of softs for the race, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. We do know that China isn't the nicest on tyres. However, it's certainly one that you can also make tyres work if you're good on that sort of strategical side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Stinos currently going round. I don't think he's quite on the pace of Ghost at the moment. He's maybe a couple of tenths down there at that second sector. As Stinos will be one of the guys we expect to see at the front end. So yeah, let's see what he can do now as he approaches the penultimate corner. Braking heavily down into this hairpin is again quite a critical corner to get right. It's such an innocuous little corner, but if you get a little bit too deep, you can end up all on that curve on the outside, which really doesn't help. Likewise with this final corner as well. But yeah, Stinos here about to cross the line, and he goes up to second, and only 18 thousandths off of Ghost. So yeah, I think Stinos there maybe was slightly down on Ghost at that second sector, but has pulled it out the bag at the end there.
Yeah, so quite tight at the top. We think Merck's going to have a bit more to give. See, Ashtube out on those mediums. Reshko, where is he to? He's coming through the final corner now. So Owen starts his first flying lap. So 32.5 for Reshka. Let's go on board with Owen and just see how his lap is sort of forming. Out of turn 4 we go. And into 6. We always feel a bit dubious when the map turns purple because it normally lies to us.
We never know. This could be Owen's special circuit that he just performs excellent on. He's keeping it very straight for Owen, to be honest. Not quite the sideways Owen that we're used to seeing just yet. But yeah, no, nice and clean so far from him.
51.7 is his time at the second split as we go through turns 11, 12, 13. It's interesting that drivers let the revs build up through 13. I mean, me personally, I tend to short shift through there to be able to put the traction, because obviously the banking, whilst it's kind of like positive camber for the corner, it does actually tend to unsettle the car if you're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is one of the corners on this circuit which has claimed many victims over the years, over many iterations of the F1 game. So, and it's no different on this one, to be honest. So yeah, got to be careful. But yeah, Owen here about to cross the line, and up to 7th for Owen. Yeah, 32.1. So he'll be looking to maybe improve on that slightly for the second round. You know, you're only half a second away from the top 4, so it's not a huge amount of gains to be made to go up the leaderboard.
And now here's someone who we know normally has good pace, but not the best of luck. It is MDJ. He'll be looking for some good luck tonight. Obviously, only with 10 in, it's a good chance for himself just to pick up some big points. You know, second, definitely an offer. I mean, the way the pace is looking, it looks like potentially there's a few people here that could win this race, and MDJ would definitely want to be one of those. Definitely,
and we have seen, you know, last week Merck really had to work hard for his result last week. So yeah, it's MDJ is one of the guys we'd expect to see at the front, given you know, all the other guys are a big challenge as well. Ghost and Stinos obviously currently 1 and 2 at the moment, and yeah, MDJ will be joining that group soon, I'm sure. As I say, just maybe a bit short on luck at times this season. Things not quite gone his way. But yeah, one to look at definitely as we you know, approach the tail end of this season and into the next season.
So down into turn 14 goes the Williams. Interesting, actually. I'll come to very shortly. As MDJ goes through the final corner up to the line, it's going to be a 1:32.5. So not quite as quick as we maybe expected it to be from the Williams, but it's a starting point at least. My point going back to, though, is there's only 2 teams running 2 cars tonight, which are the McLarens and the AlphaTauris. Now, we know the Aston Martins are pretty far ahead, but they're not mathematically uncatchable yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that works, especially if Merc does not win the race.
Yeah, absolutely. As Rockley just pops up into third there. Yeah, obviously it's vital with Merck's teammate Emma not being here. It gives everyone else a great chance to get some big points for their team as well. And as you say, even though Aston's are pretty much done and dusted, really, not mathematically as you say, but they are, theoretically going to win this constructors title. There are some big battles throughout the field, and yeah, an excellent chance for the likes of, as you say, McLaren today, and the AlphaTauris. The AlphaTauris especially will want to bounce back. They've had a couple of sort of bad races as a collective recently, so yeah, this is a great chance for as you say, the 2 teams running 2 cars to challenge for that second and third spots in the constructors. Even though it's not for first in the constructors, there's still a little bit of glory to be had with those second and third positions.
Absolutely. I don't know whether you want to find the tables. I know they've recently been released. We'll have a look at those when there's a bit more of a lull in qualifying. I think Ghost is going on to start another lap. I think he ended up starting a lap but then abandoning it. So he's now going again, although it seems to be a potential trick is to do 2 out laps in qualifying at the moment. Merc just going through sector 2, as is Stinos. What's Stinos going to do over the timing beam? He is 4 tenths down on his time. Merc a 10th up, so this is quite good looking for Ghost here on the basis that Merc's only a 10th up through after sector 2. That's quite good for the AlphaTauri, because it may show that Merc just doesn't quite have the same pace as he would do around other circuits.
Absolutely. Again, I think that boils down to maybe it being a circuit that people aren't that keen on generally. It's I think sometimes you find that if you're not too keen on the circuit, you maybe don't also put the hours of practice in that sometimes you need to. That could be, the telling sign here of why Merckx is maybe just not quite where we'd expect him to be. As he comes up now,
did you say that? He's right on Ghost.
So yeah, it shows what we know, but still, third place he'll want to be. He won't be happy with third. The standard that Merckx sets, I think he'd want to be on that front row of the grid. And yeah, although he's not far off it, I think he'll be really wanting to get that pole position on that final run.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of says to me that he got the hairpin wrong, and he also probably got the last corner slightly wrong. I think he went over the curb actually on his previous flying run, which kind of Tony Hawk's the car, which obviously slows you down. But meanwhile, Joshua Bashford set a 31.2, so he's now up into 4th place for the McLaren, which is good news for him and the McLaren team. Otherwise, everyone else kind of either, I think Owen and Reshka, the only ones on a lap at the moment. Reshka 10th up on his time so far, so he's projected to be ahead of MDJ. Yeah,
absolutely. Obviously, Reshka will want to be getting closer to like the likes of Owen and Ashtube here at the moment. I think Ashtube came out on the softs for that second run, which was in his first run on the soft tyres, but has abandoned it. I think he invalidated his lap, so he's abandoned that one. And we'll only have one chance to set a lap on the soft tyres by the looks of it.
Owen 3 tenths up after sector 2, so he's looking good on his time. Reshka just coming down to the turn 14 hairpin. And up to the final corner at turn 16. There's a slight twitch coming out of the hairpin. Across the last corner, he just had a slight twitch which sent him a little bit wide. And that was the end of that run. I think Joshua Bashford's gone for another flat lap. He's gone for a cool down and go again. And he's got 2 AlphaTauris in front of him for traffic.
I think it'll be hard, I think, for Joshua Bashford to improve on that time. The tyre wear around here is quite high, as we've mentioned already. So I'd be very surprised if he can improve on that time come the end of the lap.
Owen up to 6th, and you have to think, unless he's got enough fuel for another lap, that'll be his qualifying over. And there's Joshua Bashford just going through sector 2. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it, Johnny? Because you've got the massive back straight, you've got a pretty long front straight, and yet this is a very high downforce circuit because of that middle sector. It's such an important sector on this circuit.
Absolutely, especially the long right and the long left could combine together. You know, you need the downforce to keep you hooked up well on those, because if you miss the apex of one, you're missing the apex of the other pretty much, and just ruins your lap entirely. So yeah, you need all the downforce you can get. I think, yeah, it'd be very surprised if anyone's running a fairly low downforce setup around here. MDJ currently running at about, I think, half a second up. It was 6 tenths up after the second sector on his best time. So yeah, still not maybe where he'd want to be, but obviously we don't know how well his last sector really went for him last time. Big cut across the hairpin apex there, but that's absolutely fine. And as he rounds the final corner, MDJ goes P7, so a lot further down than we'd expect to see MDJ, but yeah, that's his qualifying done.
Yeah, lower as expected, but again, it could just purely be the circuit, as you said before. It's not. If you get it wrong, it's very hard to kind of bounce back on your next lap. And I think, is that Owen? Yeah, Owen just letting traffic through turn 13. I didn't know if he'd spun or not then. We got coming out to the line. Rock Lee, I think he's on a lap. The lights aren't flashing on the back, so we'll take it as is. Up to the final corner for the Alfa Romeo. He's got a 131.292 so far. Joshua Bashford qualifying is over. He's in 4th for now, and he goes down to 5th because Rock Lee puts in a 31.1.
Yeah, very, very tight there. Only work this out now, 800ths of a second. No, not a bit more than that, sorry. But yeah, about a tenth there, sorry. Covering the top 4. It's yeah, pretty tight that. And obviously Joshua Bashford's only a further tenth behind.
I think Owen's going to be the last man across the line at 3 seconds to go. So could that benefit the McLaren driver? Ghost, 2 tenths to the good, nearly 3 tenths to the good after sector 2. He's coming up to the line. Is he looking at a 129? I was on 129, 130, sorry. It is a 130.5, which is very quick and could be very hard to beat for those behind.
Yeah, it's a very impressive time for Ghost, and that's massively raised the bar for everyone else to try and hit. I would be surprised, but I'm willing to be surprised if anyone could beat that. Merckx is only 1 tenth up there, on his best time so far, so he's not quite going to do it unless he can find about 4 tenths in the final sector. He's not going to for Merckx.
Well, Martin just invalidates at the end of the lap. Merckx just coming through the turn 14, 15 hairpin line. What can he achieve as he goes through the final corner? He's got a 130.5 to beat. It's a 130.8. He's second so far. Stinos 3 tenths up on his time, so he's estimated for second place right now. So 130.7, and I think for the first time this season, we are not going to see an Aston Martin on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff. A fantastic effort from Ghost and Stinos there to be 1-2 on the grid. Yeah, I mean, it was looking very tight there, but Ghost's time there towards the end was pretty special, to be honest. That's a magnificent time there to get pole position, and yeah, you feel looking at this could be between Ghost, Stinos and Merckx this race, but you never know with Rockley and Joshua whether they can just sort of cling on to the tail end of the fight and get involved themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely, but Ghost, it kind of seems like he's back to his old self around this Chinese circuit. He's done a lot of it in the previous couple of seasons where he's taken poles and wins. But Bruce, you want to take us through the short grid that we have for the Chinese Grand Prix?
Absolutely. Should I do this really slowly to fill time, or do I just go for it normal? But yeah, so pole position for Ghost in the AlphaTauri, fantastic for him. As JPH says, great to see him back on form. Stinos second in the Ferrari, with Merckx in the Aston third on the grid. Rockley fourth in the Alfa Romeo, with the McLarens of Joshua Bashford and Owen on the third row. The Williams of MDJ seventh, SFR Martin eighth in the Haas, Ashtube in the Red Bull ninth, and Rashka in the other AlphaTauri. It's a very giant AlphaTauri sandwich in 10th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and the McLarens are perfectly in the middle part of the filling there of that sandwich. Bruce, I don't know if you found the standings, but since we never know quite when we're going to get going, do you want to just go through the top 5 of each standings?
Absolutely. So I will go drivers first, because that's what I want. So yeah, Merckx currently leading the championship, obviously after Emir not racing last week, I believe, actually. So that gave Merckx a chance to head the championship standings, and he currently leads Emir by 7 points. A further let me work this out. 55 points back from Emir is Ghost, who's basically leading the challenge for the third place on the championship, ahead of Stinos, who's on 52 points, and MDJ's on 49. So yeah, a good battle there for third place at the moment, developing between Ghost, Stinos, and MDJ. And as for the constructors, as we know, the Aston Martins have a fairly sizable lead at the moment. They're 140 points clear of Ferrari. With AlphaTauri a further 24 points behind. Not far behind AlphaTauri, only 8 points behind them is the Williams, and only another 3 points behind them is the McLaren team. So, yeah, I mean, Ferrari have got a decent-ish lead there on AlphaTauri, but that's very closable. So, whilst Aston Martin obviously have a sizable lead in the Constructors' Championship, I think there's a good battle developing also for second in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and I believe, if I'm correct in my workings out here, obviously we got 4 rounds after China to come. We go to Canada, Qatar, Australia, and then Japan. Qatar being a sprint evening as well, I believe after this race has concluded, 121 team points are on offer, 28 for every race, and obviously the main race in Qatar, with an extra 15 potential for the team in that sprint race for Qatar. So I believe 121 points will be the gap required, and I believe they are. Not quite sure how many you said they were ahead, Bruce.
They're 140 ahead at the moment. So, yeah, this would probably in theory, require a DNF from Merckx and a win for Stinos to keep this alive, or as alive can get in this situation. So, yeah, I think, as you say, if it's not going to be tonight, I suspect it'll be next week in Canada. We'll probably see the Astons crowned the champions.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because I believe if they're 140 ahead, there's 149 on offer. I don't think Stinos can score enough points, even with a Merckx DNF, because Stinos can score 16 tonight. Which would mean 140 minus 16 gives us 124. I think Aston Martins are actually already, because there isn't a second Ferrari.
That is true. There is only one Ferrari on the grid.
Because coming into this, 140 ahead, 149 on offer. At that point, you need both your cars to be 1 and 2, really, to really start having a chance. But as we discussed that, we have the 5 red lights, and we are green for the Chinese Grand Prix. The question is, who's going to have the best getaway? We'll look at tyres very shortly after the start. Stinos has got a good start. He's up into the lead. Merck looking around the outside of Ghost through turns 1, 2, and into 3 we go. And Ghost fighting back on the outside. He knows this is important. A little bit of a tap with the McLaren as they all bunch up. That's going to allow Owen through, and Ghost, a bit sideways for Rockley in the Alfa Romeo. But we get away pretty much as clean can be. Oh, and it looks a little bit late from Martin. Round the outside, but he keeps it clean around there. Good stuff from them. No position gain for the Haas, but it was worth a look. Rush got up 2 places. MDJ 9th and Ashtube down into 10th so far. But it is Stinos who leads from Merckx and Owen in 3rd. Ghost from his pole position going backwards 3 spaces.
Yeah, it's a really clean getaway there for everyone. Ashtube did just slightly tap the back of MDJ into the second part of the first sector there, but luckily no damage received. So yeah, everyone seems to have got away cleanly, which is good to see. Normally we always get one victim on the first lap, but yeah, looks like it's all good.
In terms of tyres, 3 people on the hards, Merckx, Martin and MDJ. Everyone else on mediums, except for Owen, who's decided to go on the soft compound of tyre. He's going for a slightly alternate strategy. Obviously, we don't have a weather forecast, so is Bowie maybe expecting a bit of rain at some point during this race? Or is Owen just thinking he's going to go for a softer strategy compared to everyone else? We will only find out in time.
Ashtube is actually in the pit, so I didn't see any blood work come off the car when he made contact with MDJ, but obviously he has front wing damage. It looks okay, cosmetically from the outside, but he is getting the front wing changed. So yeah, big shame for Ashtube there. Just sort of got caught up really where everyone just sort of, concertinaed up a little bit into that corner. And yeah, a long way to go now for Ashtube to try and get anything out of this race. But having said that, I finished his points. So yeah, it makes sense to keep going just to get, even if it's just a single point at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the race is really that bad, you can, because there's only 10 cars, you can always come in late in the race and try and pick up the point for fastest lap. We do love a good point stealer at the end for the fastest lap. But lap number 2, Stinos leading the way from Merckx. Owen has Ghost on his tail, and I think Ghost will be a little bit annoyed with himself that start went a little bit wrong. And he's now in the tracks as Bruce, seeing something possibly with Joshua Bashford.
No, MDJ, as he got on the power to go around the long bank corner, just lost the back end slightly. He caught it, but that's dropped him over a second now to the back end of Reska. So yeah, a good save, but struggling a little bit on those hard tyres early doors on this race by the seams of it.
DRS will be active on the next lap, and the first chance will be that big long back straight. And Merckx currently outside that second to Stinos. He's going to be vulnerable to the likes of Owen and Ghost. It's an unusual thing to say that Merckx is in danger of being overtaken through DRS zones, but that's where he finds himself. Obviously, he's hoping that the favour will be returned later in the race with that alternative hard to medium strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's great to see. Obviously, Owen taking the strategy of going on the softs first, and obviously we know he's not going to be on the tyres for too long. But we also know that undercut is very good around this circuit. So he's made hay already on these soft tyres, up to 3rd from what was I believe 6th on the grid. So an excellent start from already. Although just slightly understeering there. But yeah, I mean he could come in probably, I don't know, maybe lap 7 or 8 if he wanted to go to the hard tyres. And then have as he goes wide. There's a bit of lag, maybe.
I'm not entirely certain what's going on, but all of a sudden, Owen's now off the road on my screen at turn 11. I'm really not sure what happened there.
No, very interesting. It looked like he went very wide on his own. Ghost went up the inside, and all of a sudden there was bits of lag, and Owen was suddenly in the gravel. So yeah, massive shame. After just saying how good it was, he'd gone up to 3rd, but that did seem to be a bit of a lag glitch or something there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out what actually happened. As Rockley looking at the back of Ghost, I mean, surely if you're Rockley, you kind of want to work a little bit with Ghost here, because whilst Merck's on those hard tyres, you've got the chance to get into his DRS and really start to pester him, and potentially second on the cards.
Absolutely, yeah. As I say, Merck not quite on the obviously on the hards. He's going to be struggling grip-wise compared to Ghost and Rockley. But we've said it before. Obviously, it's nice to work with people sometimes, but when you're 14th or first or second. You just want that position sometimes. So yeah, long game thinking doesn't always come into play, unfortunately. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Ghost may just sneak into DRS here. He's just inside at the moment.
Detection just through turn 12. There's the right-hander. That's the detection line there. He's within a second. He'll have DRS. Owen has pitted, I would have thought, for a new front wing. And for a set of hard tyres. Probably going to be a struggle to get those to the end, but you never know what might happen. Meanwhile, Ghost is not exactly catching Merc like I thought he might do in that DRS zone.
Yeah, I wonder whether, obviously, I haven't seen, but whether Mert maybe used a little bit of deployment there, perhaps just to try and keep the gap, try and keep it within a second, or to that second area, so he's, so he's not under attack down that straight. But yeah, Ghost now obviously well within that DRS, so yeah, he'll do well to stay with him now, and maybe try and get him on this lap instead.
Martin on the back of Reshka. These two have done well considering they weren't expecting much from this Chinese Grand Prix. Currently 6th and 7th. Good points here for AlphaTauri in these early stages anyway of this race. Joshua Bashford all over the back of Rockley. And I do kind of want to point out, obviously, you might see some smoke animation going into the hairpins. Now, normally that would mean that the driver's locked up, but I would probably say they're not necessarily accurate. And it's something I would have thought they would have fixed as Owen comes back in the pits again. And he retires from the race. Bit of a shame because I know there's only a point on offer. It's probably going to be quite a lonely race, but still a point on offer there for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess maybe Owen not happy with what's happened so far in the race there with his trip to gravel. So. Yeah, I know personally, like from my own experiences, sometimes rationalisation does go out the window a little bit, and you just sometimes you've had enough, unfortunately. But big shame for Owen. He started the race really, really well, and just a massive shame because that was going to spice up the front end a little bit strategy wise, I think, as well.
Does mean we're going to have a yellow flag through turns 3 and 4. The leaders are approaching it now. It's just gone green as they've gone through there. So you're not normally an overtaking spot, turn 3, unless you're already side by side through turns 1 and 2. Ghost now just 4.5 tenths. He's now up to 6, but he's right on Merck's tail. And Stinos trying to make hay whilst he has the tyre advantage.
Yeah, although not really pulling away too much at the moment. Merck's staying within that 1.5 second area fairly consistently at the moment. But he is kind of having to look behind quite a lot as well, which is maybe actually sort of disrupting his flow a little bit. With obviously Ghost, Rockley, and Joshua Bashford so close behind, he's kind of got to keep an eye on behind rather than in front as well. But he has brought that gap down there by a couple of tenths now to Stinos. So. Yeah, this could get quite tasty quite soon, I think.
Onto the back straight we go for the 6th time here at Shanghai. Owen's game froze on him on lap 3. That was the problem. And that is a huge shame for Owen. He's another one of these the drivers really that have shown good pace and just had such terrible luck, a little bit like MDJ. He's just been caught up in instants. And obviously tonight a bit of we'll call it a mechanical failure or issue, to put it in a polite sort of term. But he's had good paces though in this season. He's just been unlucky in some of the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. He's shown he's got the pace to be comfortably in this tier, and the ability to get those odd results here and there. But yeah, just obviously tonight it's not quite his night. On board with Joshua Bashford. Interesting there. He was going down the DRS straight behind Rockley. Rockley, a big moment now, I think, at that corner. But he was following Rockley and had the opportunity to overtake after the end of the DRS straight, and chose to lift off and sit behind. So maybe actually Joshua Bashford is trying to work with the guys in front, as you suggested, to try and close that gap to the leader, and the gap is coming down. So, no one's taking any unnecessary risks throwing it up the inside and delaying anyone. So, yeah, this is looking like a 5-car fight at the moment for the lead.
Yeah, I'm currently on with Martin, who's right behind Rashka. I may have to swap to the guys at near the front because it looks like Joshua Bashford's getting close. Is he going to make the move this time? Yes, he does. Jinx out to the right. And Rockley will concede that position. I say that as he tries to keep it down the outside. Probably not the smartest of moves, but he's done that and he's still lost the position. Meanwhile, Rashka's still just ahead of Martin going through turns 14 and 15. And he'll stay in 6th for another lap. And it looks like MDJ kind of just biding his time a little bit with this battle behind. Meanwhile, Rockley was having a look at the inside of Joshua Bashford up to 1. And because of this, they've now lost 1.4 seconds to Ghost. And Bashford now outside of DRS.
Yeah, I think actually before, a little slide there for Rockley, but before Joshua had actually got past Rockley had actually dropped outside of the DRS already from Ghost. So I wonder whether Joshua Bashford overtaking was actually, in response to seeing that they were out, further than a second behind. So you felt you had to make that move to try and keep the guys in front close. But yeah, as you say now, 1.7 seconds. It's going to be hard to catch that back up now because the guys in front are going to have that DRS and he's not, and it's worth a fair bit down that back straight. I think Joshua's maybe his best opportunity now is an undercut on everyone to try and close that gap.
Yeah, we're probably not expecting them to come in for at least another possibly 5-6 laps on those medium tyres. Merckx, however, I'm trying to keep an eye on the Reshka battle for 6th and also this battle for the lead, because Merckx now within half a second of Stinos as they come down to the turn 14 hairpin. So he's not close enough. Meanwhile, MDJ making the move on Martin instead. So I don't know what sort of engine Reshka's got underneath the AlphaTauri, or whether he's running a Formula Ford style wing, which is generally no wings, but that AlphaTauri is very slippery in a straight line and seems to be able to just hang on, as Merckx now 2/10 behind Stinos.
Absolutely, yeah. MDJ just had a really, really good run out the bank corner and was stuck to the back of Martin before he'd even got to the DRS activation. So it was a done deal almost as soon as he got that DRS. But yeah, MDJ is struggling on, compared to what we've seen recently, is struggling with these hard tyres a little bit. Obviously going to have to play the long game going onto the softer compound towards the end of the race. But yeah, he's not what you'd expect him to be. You'd expect MDJ to be up in that fight at the top.
Speaking of the top, Merckx 5/10 behind Stinos as we head up to the end of Sector 2. And you get this feeling that Merckx is now just starting to prepare this move on the back straight. He's closing in, although he loses a little bit at the end of the sector. But you just get this feeling that Merckx now starting to build up this move as the tyres start to come to.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sort of hitting that time now, aren't we, really, where the crossover period is on the hards and the mediums. And yeah, Ghost is going to want to get involved in this as well, because he's not going to want to see Merckx get past Stinos in fear of the potential of Merckx to drive away now that his tyres are potentially better than Stinos' mediums. So yeah, Ghost is going to really, really want to get in on the action here, I think, big time.
It's getting close. We have a spinner of Ash Tube out of turn 10. Probably just clipped the curb and sent the car around. We know that's a pretty common thing around that area. It gets going again, so we stay under green flags. And you can kind of see, as MDJ looking down the inside of Reshka, turns 1 and 2. That transitions to the outside of 3, and Reshka, a little bit of contact between the two. MDJ has a slight slide, and Reshka will keep hold of that place. A bit of racing contact, in my opinion, in that instance, but very, very close between the AlphaTauri and the Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like MDJ just maybe misjudged the turning slightly, and the game's had that wheel hookup thing, really, where it drags you into the other car. But yeah, luckily, obviously, it doesn't seem like either of them have got any damage for that, so he can continue their battle. But yeah, MDJ looking more racy now. But Reska's doing a fantastic job at the moment in 6th place.
The other front, the gap is smaller again this lap around onto the back straight, 0.65 through the bank corner, and it is now getting smaller, 0.56. We have the DRS open with Merckx. I don't quite think he's close enough yet, but he does fill the mirrors of that Ferrari. You just wonder if he gets a good launch out of this final corner as MDJ getting past Reska, and Martin almost looking to make it 3 wide into the hairpin. Reska around the outside of the hairpin. I think he's going to lose 2 places here because Martin should have a good run, although he's going to have the outside for the final corner. No, a little bit of a switch from Martin. This is good racing from the 3. Reska now has DRS as well. Rockley in the pits already for a change of tyres. Through turns 4.
Sorry, GP. I think for Rockley, this is a chance at the undercut. I think this is what he's trying to do now. Maybe feeling this is his chance to get back up with the 3 guys at the front.
Very close racing between Reska and Martin, almost touching. Through 5 into 6 we go, and Reska just about holding on to this position for now. He runs a little bit deep with a bit of a lockup. I think that lockup was genuine. And Martin gets past that AlphaTauri, but at the cost of that ERS usage. You can see the backlights flashing. If Reska stays within the DRS of Martin, you get the feeling he should be able to get back past that Haas and back into 6th place.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The switch back from Martin into the last corner was very, very good. Very patient, really, really clean driving. But yeah, Reska's not giving up tonight, is he? He's putting up a big fight tonight, and that's great to see. Brilliant to see for Reska. He's had a few bad races recently. Excuse me. So yeah, excellent work from him.
Merckx on the back. I'll keep an eye on the gap for Reska to Martin. I think he's closing, not close enough into the hairpin. As Merckx staring at the back of the Ferrari. It just looks like at the moment still just has enough grip to fend off the Aston Martin behind. It's almost like that crossover isn't quite fully implemented between the tyres yet.
I'm currently watching the times. Obviously, Rockley has pitted for those hards. Currently looking at the times, and he is taking time out of the lead pack at the moment. Fairly, not I wouldn't say substantially, but enough to maybe put himself there or thereabouts. I'm just going to keep a close eye on it because, as I said, the undercut is quite big round here. I think, you know, if Ghost chose to come in now, and no one else in front of him did, obviously Merckx won't, but if Stinos didn't come in, I have a feeling by the time Stinos does come in, Ghost would be in front. It's quite serious. I mean, Rockley is bringing this gap down to the leader by quite a margin right now. That's at least 1 second so far on this lap.
He's down to 25 seconds. We'll keep an eye on it. I've got the gap to the leader. I'm not quite sure how much time you need for a pit stop, because there's obviously a little bit of a weird pit stop for China, because you've got to go kind of past the last corner, go 90 left, and then you blast it up into the pit entry and the limiter line. So not quite sure exactly how much time you lose in the pits, but let's see if anyone goes in. Stinos stays out, and as you suggested, Ghost coming into the pits for this undercut.
Yeah, Joshua Bashford also coming in. I think Joshua Bashford's going to find himself a few seconds behind Rockley here when he finally comes out the pits. I mean, I could be wrong, but Rockley is just coming in the hairpin now, and Joshua Bashford only just going into his pit slot right this second. So, yeah, I mean, Rockley's going to be a fair chunk ahead here, I think.
Could be ahead of Ghost here as well, because Ghost just coming to the pit exit now. That Alfa Romeo is going to be up to full racing speed. Round the outside of turn 1 he goes. And warm tyres versus cold tyres, Rockley is always going to win that battle.
Absolutely, and you know, now you've got to be looking at this from Merckx and Stinos' perspective. Stinos especially. If Stinos comes in now, he'll be behind Rockley as well. Rockley will be, in theory, a net first, I think, because he's going to have pace advantage on Merckx for quite some time now on these hard tyres. But you can see how quickly that gap is coming down, and whilst he's going to have a struggle towards the end of the race, due to being slightly older tyres, it's only 2 lap older tyres than Ghost and Joshua.
Absolutely, and I think Stinos will come in to try and cover Ghost. But I don't know if it's... I think 1 lap is enough for that undercut. That Stinos will, as you say, end up behind both Rockley and Ghost. And you have to be a little bit careful because obviously Joshua Bashford's going to be closing in as well in terms of time. And here comes Stinos. I wouldn't have said that was the best entry into the pits either. He probably lost a touch of time just on that pit entry.
Ghost on Rockley, DRS down the back straight, and Rockley, I think, accidentally fights back. I don't think he wanted to do that, but he had no choice but to try and throw it down the inside to avoid running to the back of Ghost. So yeah, I'm not sure whether Ghost maybe swept across the front of him a little bit late there, but Ghost is going to get past Stinos, I think, and there he goes.
Turn 1, will Rockley get him as well? Yes, he will, around the outside.
There was slight contact. There was very slight contact, and
there's more contact.
Rather unnecessarily so, you'd have to say, but
they do survive, which is the main thing for these drivers. And it looks like no real damage done. But this definitely means if Stinos is coming out behind these two, Merck will definitely come out behind these two, but he will have the advantage of the softer compound of tyre.
Yeah, absolutely, and that pace advantage could be massive towards the end of the race. But it's as I said before the race started, the undercut is very, very powerful around the circuit, and I think Merck's potentially going to be surprised as to how much extra work he's going to have to do on those medium tyres.
Yeah, and the thing is, if he doesn't have the full map on the full track map, all he's going to see himself, MDJ, Martin, Reshka, who he knows haven't pitted yet, and then Ghost in 5th. He might not know that Rockley...
Merck's in. Merck is in.
Merck is in, which is going to do a half and half split. But he might not know that Rockley's actually got into this fight now with his own undercut, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. MDJ carries on, as does Martin. And Reshka as well. Merck's coming out now. He's going to be behind all of those. I think he's going to stay ahead of Joshua Bashford, though. 7th place for the Aston Martin, which will become a net 4th.
Yeah, it looks like Joshua may be struggling to get these hard tyres working for him at the moment. Not too far off Merck, but maybe not quite where he was hoping to be as Reshka lets Ghost through. Very orchestrated move there from the AlphaTauris.
Are we about to see a bit of AlphaTauri team magic in which Reshka is going to completely sacrifice his battle with Martin and just hold up the guys behind for as long as possible and basically not pit until those guys behind come in the pits, as it looks like Stinos looking to go past Rockley. He's going to get it. Merck was a little bit interested then, but couldn't quite make anything work. Onto the back stretch we go. Stinos immediately going for the move on Reshka, and he will have DRS as well because the detection is through the right-hander of turn 12. Rockley going through. I think this is just showing the wear of Reshka's medium tyres. But somehow the rocket-propelled AlphaTauri is fighting back without any DRS. Into the hairpin we go. Oh, this is getting tight, but good racing from everyone. I think Merckx is going to be through, and Reshka will probably be coming into the pits this lap, I'd have thought. No, he's going to hang on and take some extra DRS.
Yeah, I mean, it was inevitable, just the age of those tyres there for Reshka. I mean, however, that has given Ghost, nearly 2-second advantage now over Stinos.
And Stinos still has to get through Martin.
Yeah, exactly. So even though Reshka couldn't hold him off for too long, it was enough. It was enough of a delay. And yeah, brilliant stuff from the AlphaTauris. Really, really good team driving.
Oh, that looks like Merck round the outside of Rockley through turn 6. That's a fantastic move from the Aston Martin. You don't see many moves around the outside of turn 6, but Merck showing it is a possible move, especially when you're on medium compound tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. The extra grip proving there, but yeah.
That's an interesting move from Joshua Bashford. the outside of turn 9. That's a great
yeah, a bit unusual. I think we're about to see a Haas get demolished by potentially 3 cars, maybe definitely 2.
Merc down the inside of Stinos already. I mean, there might not be many cars on track, but they're certainly finding ways of entertaining us in very weird positions as Ghost takes the lead of the race. Further up, Merc is going to currently have 3rd. Stinos trying to fight it on the outside. That's not quite going to work. You feel that Stinos maybe would have been better off braking a bit early, trying to switch back Merc there, but obviously I'm not the driver. I'm not in Tier 1, he is. So Ghost in the lead. He now has technically a 2.2, 2.3 advantage over Merc. But Merc trying to make these medium tyres work. Maybe is he worrying the fact that they will be worn near the end and he will be vulnerable.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, going for 14 laps on the mediums is a lot longer than we'd have expected. Maybe only by a couple of laps, perhaps. But yeah, he's going to want to get through MDJ as quickly as he can. It'd be interesting to see how much of a fight MDJ he puts up. But yeah, the Aston is looking incredibly racy right now. Only 1.8 behind Ghost, so he is closing that gap. It's more a case of now as to how long Ghost can stay in front of him for. So that he starts to get that sort of a tyre advantage maybe by lap sort of 24, 25.
MDJ didn't really put up much of a fight there for Merc. Maybe trying to play a little bit of a DRS game, although the age of those tyres, I don't think that's really going to work and pay off. As Stinos now down the inside. You just get the feeling MDJ is just driving for this result at the moment, get some points in the bag, and move on to Canada next week. But an interesting thing to see as well, I think the battle between Reshka and Martin is far from over, because obviously Reshka's now on the soft compounded tyres, and he'll be looking for an undercut on Martin. He's 25.3 behind the Haas at the moment, but he is closing.
Yeah, so he closes. Martin coming in now as well, so we're about to find out how close this is actually going to be. You'd expect maybe Martin might mirror that decision for softs.
And since no one's really close enough to make a move, we can watch Reshka and see where in relation he comes out to him against Martin. Obviously, Ashtube's come in for a set of hard tyres as well. I say no one's really close. Joshua Bashford's getting closer to Rock Lee, but not quite close enough for a move yet. Martin's going to come out of the pits. He will be ahead of Reshka, although Reshka's going to have nice warm tyres, and Martin out on the medium compound. He doesn't feel those softs will last till the end of the race.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a surprise, but yeah, obviously Martin feeling that he's going to be comfortable on those medium tyres, so yeah, maybe he just feels it's the right tyre for him, perhaps. But yeah, I think that the softs will do this amount of time, but as you say, they're maybe not going to be that competitive at the end. So if Reshka's going to do this, he's going to need to do this within the next couple of laps and try and get off down the road a little bit, because at some point Martin's going to come back strong.
At the front, Merc 0.6 of a second behind Ghost. He'll have DRS. He'll be closing in on the AlphaTauri for the lead of this race. Hits the brakes, gets the car turned. Up to the final corner of the circuit. There's a good run by Merc, but he does lose a little bit of time on the exit. And I think 4/10 is just a little bit too much as Rock Lee gets past Joshua Bashford and MDJ finally in the pits. Merc does not quite get past. Reshka, however, with DRS, gets past Martin into 7th place. And it'd be interesting actually to see where these guys come out in relation to MDJ. Because the MDJ did run that little bit longer. Meanwhile, Merc, looking to the inside of Ghost into 6th, thinks better of it. They carry on. On the mini-map, it looks like MDJ will come out ahead of Reshka, but again, he's on mediums, and he will have to get those mediums up to temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin looking to fight back on Reshka here as well at the moment. So this could aid MDJ, and it just gives him that little bit of extra time to get heat in the tyres. But Merc is right on the back of Ghost.
Yeah, you get a feeling this is going to be a DRS move that gets done. I think the main goal here for Ghost is not necessarily to stop Merc getting past, but stop him from getting a second ahead.
Absolutely. Merc pulling well out of the slipstream there. It's an interesting tactic.
Is he thinking maybe let's pull a gap to Stinos? Let's just get Stinos out of the picture. Fight
Perhaps,
later.
Stinos is closing that gap though. At the moment, it was only by a couple of attempts in that last sector, but a couple of attempts in each sector on this lap, and he's within DRS. So, Stinos is keeping up with him quite well at the moment.
Martin gets back past Reschke with a bit of DRS aid, and it could almost put him in contention for DRS down the main straight. He gets a good exit out with the turn 14 hairpin, and he will have DRS on MDJ, so this battle closing up as well.
Yeah, we seem to have the sort of, as you expect it, around here, sort of a few little mini battles going on throughout the field. Ashley really is the only one who's out on his own at the moment. Everyone else seems to have some sort of fight going on with someone else, which is great to see. Obviously, a big shame for Ashley because he'd be right in this fight normally as well. As he picks up a 3-second penalty just to add to his woes, unfortunately.
Joshua Bashford gets past Rock Lee before turn 11. Meanwhile, back with the leading fight, and will Merckx not going past. Now, something I have heard as well from Tier 2 driver Ruddo was that fuel was a bit of an issue for a completely green flag race. He started with just over 1 lap extra fuel, and he said he was conserving fuel for most of the race as Martin gets past MDJ. So the question is, are we thinking maybe that Merckx maybe just trying to do a bit of fuel saving here a little bit, just to make sure he's got enough fuel to make the end of the race?
Perhaps, yeah, that's entirely possible. Obviously, we didn't experience that on Monday night. In Tier 4, we had a safety car and a virtual safety car, so fuel wasn't an issue for us. But yeah, you're right. As I understand, yesterday's Tier 2, there was some very interesting efforts at fuel saving from an early period in the race. So yeah, it could well be what we're seeing here from Merckx, but all that's doing is allowing Stinos to close that gap up, and he's within DRS now.
It's quite interesting because I know where to look on the steering wheel for the fuel delta, shall we say. I'm not going to reveal it because obviously I'm not going to reveal who's on what potentially, because obviously that would be giving away crucial information for everyone else. But it's quite an interesting read if you know where to look. Meanwhile, Ghost being overtaken by Merck to the outside. Time on the exit, just about a car width given, and the grip of Merck will get past the AlphaTauri. Through the final corner, though, it looks like Ghost had a better run out of the corner, and he'll have DRS as well. Up to the first corner, Ghost looking to the outside. Can he hold it around the outside? That's the question. Still side by side, room still has to be given. It's wheel to wheel into turn 3, and this is kind of where Merckx should finish the job with the traction on the outside line. Can open up the steering wheel, get the traction down, and that's what he does. However, you get the feeling that Merckx isn't going to be left alone, and he's not going to lose Ghost or Stinos very quickly.
No, absolutely, and Stinos watching this now, he's obviously got a great view of this battle up ahead. Interesting. Maybe Merck there feeling that at that point he had to get past us because of how much Stinos was closing up behind as well. So maybe again a reaction to other things that were happening on the circuit. But Ghost is close enough here that if he can stick within around this corner, he could well get back past him at the end of the DRS straight.
Let's see what happens. Down the back stretch we go. 0.7 the gap, that should close due to the DRS. You see Merc just trying to stop the toe a little bit by taking a slightly alternative line down the straight. It's interesting to see that even though Ghost is on hards, it looks like his traction out of corners isn't too dissimilar to Merc's. Which, I mean, the crossover probably isn't quite yet between these tyres, but it's interesting to see that they're already seemingly quite equal under traction.
Yeah, I think the crossover isn't too far away, really, to be honest. 8 laps old now, those tyres on the Aston Martin. So, yeah, maybe a couple of laps extra, and Ghost might suddenly then have the pace. Yeah, I think this battle could continue quite comfortably to the end of the race. I don't think Ghost's going to go away anytime soon.
No, he's going to keep bringing Stinos with him, especially if Stinos stays within that 1 second of the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Ghost here is he doesn't allow Stinos past just yet as well, because he's going to want to be the guy at the front of the chasing pack, really, to reap the benefits if he can get past. He did have a wobble through this corner on the last lap, Ghost, and that's why I think he couldn't get close enough to Merc, but slightly better exit, but I'd say he's probably on a similar distance behind him to the last lap, so I don't think he's going to get him here either.
Absolutely. Fastest lap at the moment, just for anyone that might be interested, is a 1:34.170 currently held by Stinos. If anyone watching does want to go and steal a point for the fastest lap, there is your target. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if Reshka maybe gives it a whirl, get himself some more soft compound tyres, because he's kind of dropped off the fight from MTJ and Martin, maybe just showing that those softs not really lasting as long as he would have liked.
Absolutely, and Astu obviously in a good position to do similar, really, although he'll have to probably do it a lap earlier just because he is only just slightly ahead of the leaders at the moment, so he doesn't want to leave it too late, otherwise you won't get that final lap in.
Speaking of the leaders, Ghost just 3.5 tenths behind the Aston Martin, and Merc coming under increasing pressure now. From the AlphaTauri behind. Into turn 11 we go. Really awkward set of corners this, turns 11 and 12, because turn 12 is so crucial for turn 13 and the run onto the back straight. And as you can see there, Ghost probably didn't quite get it right because he's dropped a few tenths behind the Aston Martin. Luckily, he's still within DRS, so he can claw some of that time back down the straight, but it shows you just how crucial that turn is, and it's such an awkward one because you kind of come over a little crest as you go through that apex.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, you can put the power down quite early, but then you do run a risk of losing control of the car. Sometimes if you wait too long, then you just got no chance of getting the car in front down that back straight. So yeah, a very, very tricky corner. It's quite pivotal. It's a new word for you. It's quite pivotal to you know, the one major overtaking spot on this circuit.
Good evening to Roddo, who's in the chat. And good evening to everyone else who has joined us tonight for the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with Gridfind.com and Venturi Studios. This is round number 11 at the Chinese Grand Prix. We may have slightly less numbers than usual, however the racing has still been fantastic to watch. And if you haven't just joined, you have missed some great moves in very odd places. We've seen moves on the outside of turn 6, the outside of turn 9, and even through turn 13. There's been a few moves as well. It's been a fantastic watch, even with only 10 drivers in. Ghost, 9 tenths behind, same to what he was last time around. And he's going to have to start closing that gap if he wants to try and re-overtake Merc come the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. He's yeah, you have to do something about it. I mean, he's closed up a fair bit under DRS there, but yeah, I think if Merc can get outside that DRS, outside the 1 second, then it's going to be very, very difficult for Ghost from there on in. 3 laps to go. Yeah, this is well and truly on. Stinos now over a second behind Ghost, so yeah, maybe Stinos could potentially be about to drop out of this fight for the win.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one. I tell you what, Ashtray was getting very tight between whether is he going to get lapped or is he going to hold on to the lead lap. I'd like to see him stay on the lead lap because I mean I think it's a great effort. The fact that he's stayed in, carried on in what has been probably one of the most boring races of his sim racing career.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's obviously really unlucky to pick up damage with that small contact on lap 1. But yeah, he's done an excellent job in persevering. To be honest, you know, spirit of the race. If there was an award, I think undeniably would be going to Astube right now.
We can give him the spirit driver of the day for today, I think. But meanwhile, Ghost 7/10 behind. He's gradually closing that gap. Stinos 1.3, and that's going to continue to grow, I think. And I think I have a reasonable explanation as to why that's growing. We talked about it before. I think Stinos is having to be a bit careful on his fuel. And he's got 15.1 to Bashford. He's got a podium. He doesn't want to mess this up by running out of fuel now. As Ashtube comes into the pits, he's looking for fastest lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's coming at the right time because obviously he's a lap behind now. So yeah, he's done it at the right time. Right, if he'd have waited another lap, then he'd have done himself in a little bit there. So yeah, good workings out there from Ashtube to make sure he actually does have the ability to have 1 lap shot at getting that fastest lap.
And another battle that's starting to brew is that for 5th place. MDJ down the inside of Rock Lee. I say it was brewing, is actually going on. MDJ down the inside of Rock Lee. I think the hards of Rock Lee are now starting to suffer, and obviously MDJ 8-lap-old medium tyres cruised up to the back, cruised down the inside, and said thank you very much for your position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think obviously Rockley, you know, excellent attempt with the early pit stop to undercut everyone, and it did work. You know, it got him to the head of a big group of cars that he was behind. But yeah, maybe just paying the price for it now, and that's the problem when you go for that undercut. It really is a case of how long you can hold on for when you're on those harder tyres.
6/10's the gap up front though. Ghost is slowly closing this in. I think he's going to have. I think Ghost has planned this so he has 1 opportunity. And that opportunity is the last lap down the back straight. He needs to get this opportunity correct. Meanwhile, I think we might see a move for 6th place as Rockley will probably now lose another position. This time to SFR Martin, who moves up into 6th place. Who amazingly was thinking of not racing tonight. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's up into 6th place, and he's going to get a good few points here.
Excellent stuff from Martin. But yeah, attention back to the front here. Ghost, as you said, I think he's gonna definitely wait until that final straight to make that move. It's just a case of now not making that mistake and keeping close behind Merc to enable him to do it. But you'd have to say now, 13-lap-old mediums, I think Ghost is probably on a better tyre than Merc in front.
He is. We've seen Merc in a couple of close finishes this season. This is going to be another one. I mean, it'd be great to see Ghost on the top step. I can't remember. I don't know if you can have a look on the standings, Bruce. I don't think Ghost has had a win this season. On the back straight, 7.5/10. That could be too much for Ghost here. DRS open. Down the back straight we go. Ghost is closing. He's closing 6/10. He's not going to be close enough. Here on the last lap, he's going to have to hope Merc makes a big mistake. And he's very rare that Merc does. I think Ghost win for this season going to be waiting as Merckx crosses the line. He wins the Chinese Grand Prix from Ghost in second. Stinos will come home in third. I think he just ran out of fuel as well.
MDJ's going to get fourth. Joshua Bashford's run out of fuel. Martin's going to get fifth. He's very, very slow.
Disaster for Joshua. He's crawling to the line, but here comes MDJ out of nowhere, you have to say. Fourth place is his, probably driver of the day from the game, I'd have thought. SFR Martin fifth. Joshua Bashford, will he keep hold of sixth? He's going to be close to Rockley.
Rockley's run out of fuel as well, right at the end. Unbelievable stuff.
Reshka comes home for 8th place. Ashtube in 9th. He'd already crossed the line. And we did say fuel was an issue, and it definitely became an issue for a few people. Merckx apparently gets driver of the day. I'd have personally awarded that to MDJ, but there we go.
To follow up though, obviously a great win for Merck there, but that's Ghost's best result of this season. I think the highest he's had ahead of this, he's had 3 third places, but not actually finished on the top 2 of the race yet this season. So a big surprise, but I'm sure he'll be delighted with that. Just couldn't quite get it done on Merck at the end.
And I think we can safely say now that confirms that provisionally anyway, Aston Martin are the Constructors' champions of Season 17 here in Tier 1. They've done it with 4 races to go. It's been a very dominant display from the team of Merckx and Emir Jurakovic. But Bruce, would you like to take us through the provisional race results?
Absolutely, Merck there and Aston Martin continuing his fine run of form, and obviously now growing that gap now on teammate Emir, taking the win today. Ghost in the AlphaTauri an excellent second, season best for him so far. Stinos in third, a bit of fuel saving there cost him towards the end. MDJ, as he said, a surprise fourth for him, with SFR Martin an excellent fifth. Joshua Bashford and Rockley sixth and seventh, unfortunately running out of fuel towards the end, dropping them down. And Reska eighth, Ashtube ninth, and Owen the only non-finisher. But as you say, congratulations to Aston, obviously provisionally. It's probably the least surprising news from probably about round 5, I should imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just checking my workings, and they are definitely now too far ahead to catch. It's been a fairly dominant display from those Aston Martins, and you can't argue that the fact they've won the championship, fully deserving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the start of the season, it was clear they were going to be pretty formidable, very difficult team to beat, and it's proved that way. People have tried, and people are still trying, and that gap, you'd have to say, is coming down, which bodes well definitely for next season. But as you say, excellent work from the Astons, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ghost has just joined the party, which will come to him in just a second. So we do have Ghost here. Well done, Ghost. Second place, your best result this season. That's got to be a fantastic feeling. You just couldn't quite get Merckx at the end there.
Yeah, kind of gutted, really. I mean, it's best result of the season and drove really well, but again, just come up just short in the end, and it was just a crucial mistake on the last lap, and the double left-hander in sector 2 lost me maybe 1.5 tenths, and that was enough for Merck to be able to just be comfortable on that main back straight. So it kind of sucks, but I did what I could. I did the best I could.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw a number of people have run out of fuel. Was that a potential issue for yourself? Because I think we possibly saw Stinos maybe kind of backing out of the fight to make sure he made the end of the race.
No, Rashka actually warned me about the fuel before the race, so we were both fine on fuel in the end, luckily. That's why, still best teammate, even if we've lost our constructors streak. But yeah, no, it was. I know that Sten also ran out at the end, but unfortunately, Merckx also knew about the fuel issue.
Bruce, any questions for Ghost?
Yeah, we obviously saw you in a big battle at the start with a few guys. Rockley was the first one to jump and try and undercut everyone. I believe he came out just in front of you. Were you surprised at how much of a difference the undercut made, and were you sort of concerned that suddenly you found yourself behind people that you wouldn't have expected to have been pre-pit stop?
I knew the undercut was very strong around here. I was just hoping that I wouldn't come out just behind him, and that's exactly what happened, which was a little annoying. But then, luckily, Rashka was there to help me out later on by holding them up, and he did a fantastic job at doing that. But yeah, no, I knew the undercut was strong. I just was hoping to come out just ahead of him, and didn't quite work out. But I don't think it changed the race result in the end. I think the same thing would have happened anyways. So, but yeah, I don't know if Stinos was unaware of the undercut because he pitted a lot later. Yeah, he pitted on the optimal lap in theory, but obviously it really bogs you down when coming out the pits. So he did well to catch back up, but yeah, he had his fuel issue at the end.
Absolutely, and just looking forward to towards the end of the season. Obviously, 4 rounds to go. Sprint being one of them. You've taken some points out of Ferrari, courtesy of them only having one car for tonight. I mean, are you and Reshka now looking at maybe trying to catch Ferrari in the next 4 and try and get at least second place?
It's not really been in our minds, to be honest, the constructors, because, I mean, for obvious reasons, the Aston Martin are about a bazillion points ahead. And the drivers as well, both Astons, just tons of points ahead. So, yeah, the championship hasn't really been a concern to us. We just want to get some good points every week and have some good races. I think this season's been so unlucky for me in a lot of ways. I've had some really stinkers of races that weren't my fault. But overall, I mean, I'm still P3 in the championship. I think the only thing I'm thinking of championship-wise is getting the drivers, but getting P3 in the drivers. But if P2 in constructors is up for grabs, then me and Reshka are up for it. So yeah, it'll be a tough one, but we'll see. The other thing is just to try and be the first one to get a win that isn't in an Aston Martin this season. Didn't quite get it today, sadly. But who knows? The next tracks might be a bit better. But if Emir comes back, then no chance.
Oh, well, you never know. I mean, he did crash at Singapore. You just never know.
So did I.
But congratulations, Ghost, on second place. So your best result this season. Got some write-ups from Merckx and Stinos. Merckx, obviously, our winner. So it was a really difficult race, having to fuel save from lap 5 as he realised he'd actually underfueled the car. He's able to manage the race pace well and stay behind Ghost to save a little more fuel. All in all, some good overtakes and a really enjoyable race for him. Congrats to the rest of the podium. Still not saying a pretty much straightforward race. Had a good start off the line and was able to break DRS with Merckx until his hards were hit that crossover point. Ghost then undercut him with Merckx. Undercut, obviously, still not on Merckx. And Merckx passed him with his fresh tyres. He was able to get back in the DRS, but then started to try and save some fuel, which made him fall out of the DRS and ended P3. So, as we kind of suspected there, Bruce, Merckx not passing Ghost for fuel-saving purposes and still not having to save fuel right at the end.
Yeah, it's a big shame, really, because, you obviously put in what you think is going to be enough, and obviously the realisation was probably fairly close to the end there from Stinos that he was going to have to do some fuel saving, and yeah, it's probably a little bit frustrating when you can see the guys in front of you fighting for the lead. But he did the right thing, obviously, by sort of trying to manage it. And obviously, we saw it catch Joshua out there at the end, dropping from 4th down to 6th, I believe, was it 6th or 7th? So, yeah, it's still not as frustrating as it probably was for him, seeing the guys in front just driving off with the fuel saving. He absolutely did the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, looking forward, we have Canada next week. Fantastic circuit. I think quite possibly one of the few that's very much a driver favourite circuit. I mean, it's hard not to like the circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, a bit of a fan favourite, a bit of a driver favourite. I think hopefully, we can get a few more people in next week, get back to the sort of numbers that we've had, pretty much consistently all season, which would be good because, the racing's normally quite spectacular, and obviously with the close proximity of the walls around that circuit, really anything can happen, and safety cars do come into play normally around there.
Absolutely. Well, that is all the time we have tonight for Tier 1. Obviously, for everyone who's joining, thank you all for watching. There is more racing to be had, though, this week. Tomorrow, we bring you the Realistic Performance League from China for their round number 11. It should be quite a good one. Obviously, Merckx leading the way in that championship as well, although it's not quite as clear cut as Tier 1's championship so far. But that's brought to you by Jack TM53 Synopsis. That's tomorrow. And then next week, everyone's back. Tier 4 and 3 from Canada, brought to you by Official Zero and JP. Tuesday, we will have Tier 2, brought to you, I believe, by Joe Hamster, if he's around next week. And I would say me and Bruce are back next week, but Bruce will definitely be back with someone else for Tier 1 for round number 12 of the Tier 1 Championship. But if you have enjoyed what you've watched, I know there's only 10 cars, but the racing was fantastic, so hopefully you've all enjoyed it. Make sure you like the stream and subscribe to the Invictus Racing channel so you don't miss any of the live racing action we have going on for the remainder of this season. But from myself and Bruce, thank you all for watching tonight. Have a good one.